Coming up, Mineshaft is a gold digger in the Jockey Club Gold Cup. Azeri shoots for her 12th straight. Tate's Creek helps Bobby Frankel into the record book, and could it be? Yes, it is. Merv Griffin will even go up and over the fences. It's a jam-packed Long John Silver's Wire to Wire.
Long John Silver's Wire to Wire, presented by Citgo.
What a busy afternoon at Belmont Park on Saturday. 4 consecutive Grade 1s. Hello, everyone. I'm Jeff Metters. With me is Randy Moss. And that 4th and final Grade 1, the Jockey Club Gold Cup, and in the spotlight, Mineshaft.
Jockey Club Gold Cup, a key prep race for the Breeders' Cup Classic, and of course Mineshaft, the #1 ranked handicap horse in America, coming off that easy win in the Woodward. He didn't have Empire Maker to run against on Saturday, but he did have the Bi-World Cup winner Moon Ballad in the blue, and also the gray horse Evening Attire.
All right, with the call, here's Mr. Tom Durkin.
West in front. Mineshaft has maneuvered into the clear on the outside. Moon Ballad in between horses. And the race is on as they hit the half-mile pole. Quest in front. Mineshaft coming up on the outside as they round the far turn. Moon Ballad tailing off. 6 lengths back to State Shinto, another 5 back to Evening Attire, and there's 3 furlongs remaining. They ran 3/4 and 11 flat, and Mineshaft has taken the lead. He has done it readily. He is cruising in front. Quest is under an all-out drive. He's already under the whip, and now just a nudge from Robbie Alvarado, and Mineshaft is on his way. Mineshaft opening up here, 2.5 lengths. Quest giving his all, he's second, and a break of about 7 lengths back to Evening Attire third. They're coming into the final furlong, and it's going to be Mineshaft. Mineshaft, routinely brilliant to win here at Belmont Park once again. He has won the Jockey Club Gold Cup, and he has done it with style.
Mineshaft has won 6 of his last 7, beaten only in that streak by Perfect Drift, who we'll see in just a moment. 4 of those were Grade 1s. His buyers are impressive. Career earnings $2.2 million. When it's all said and done, maybe more questions than answers. Is this the horse of the year? Will he ship west for the Breeders' Cup Classic, powered by Dodge?
Notice the guy leading him into the winner's circle on the horse's left. That is co-owner and breeder Will Ferris, the ambassador to Great Britain. Ferris has been quoted as saying that perhaps Mineshaft might not be sent to the Breeders' Cup Classic, even though he would be a solid favorite in that race. Of course, Mineshaft's scheduled to be retired at the end of the year to Mr. Farish's farm in Kentucky, Lanes Inn Farm. Ferris quoted also as saying that he thinks Mineshaft has nothing left to prove. My opinion, if they think they have the handicap division and Horse of the Year honors all wrapped up without running in the Classic, I think they are making a tactical mistake. Clearly, Mineshaft, an impressive winner again at Belmont.
Now to Illinois, the Hawthorne Gold Cup, and just 2 weeks after beating Congaree in the Kentucky Cup Classic, Perfect Drift wheels back.
And again, he made it look easy underhand, right? He gets some good horses, 10 pins on the inside. Aeneas ran hugely on the outside. And trainer Murray Johnson, who's been so adamant about no Breeders' Cup Classic, left the door open just a bit that he might change his mind. Although he was quoted as saying after the race, pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered. I think that means he's been watching too much Hee-Haw. Buyer's speed figure for Perfect Drift, a good one, 111, and there is Pat Day draping Murray Johnson there in the Aussie hat with the flowers in the winner's circle.
All right, Empire Maker was scheduled to go in the Jockey Club Gold Cup, but Bruce Foot kept him out. Bobby Frankel says now he doesn't think he can get him ready for the Classic. Have we seen the last of our Belmont winner?
I think he will be probably retired to stud. That's what Frankel says. It was scheduled to be his last race if he were to go in the Breeders' Cup Classic, as is the case with Mineshaft. Empire Maker, of course, missed the Travers with the sickness, and now the foot injury has all but ended his career.
The Classic division seems more like All My Children. I mean, who's in, who's out? Give us a synopsis of where we stand at the moment.
The Classic division, as it pertains to the Horse of the Year title in the handicap division, I think is very interesting because Mineshaft's at the top of the heap right now. If he doesn't go to the Breeders' Cup Classic, I'm telling you, there could be a voter backlash when it comes time for the Eclipse Awards. If Medaglia d'Oro or Perfect Drift were to win the Breeders' Cup Classic, they could be handicap champion and or Horse of the Year instead of Mineshaft. So I think that they do need to send Mineshaft out there because he does have something left to prove.
And if everybody showed up, it would be one for the ages. We're just getting started. Suleimani, #2 in the John Deere Turf rankings. We'll see why. We'll also have the Legacy Chase. And later, our other race of the week, the Ladies' Secret.
This ESPN2 presentation of Long John Silver's Wire to Wire is brought to you by Long John Silver's boatloads of seafood are back. Citgo, we know you. The American Quarter Horse Association, let freedom ride.
Lots of news and highlights centering around Belmont Park this week, but not all of it has to do with the horses and what goes on the track.
Yeah, also some politics. We have reported in the past that the New York Racing Association has been under some serious political fire. Well, on Monday, a managerial shakeup. Its Chief Operating Officer Terry Meeks resigned. He will be replaced temporarily by NYRA board members Steve Dunker and Peter Karchis, who will serve as co-Chief Operating Officers until a permanent replacement for Meeks can be found.
And from the politics, we go back into the races. We talked about the 4 Grade 1s at Belmont on Saturday. In final furlongs, we get to see 2 more of those.
Yeah, beginning with Saturday's Turf Classic. Of course, this is a big prep for the John Deere Breeders' Cup Turf. All eyes on the favorite Suleimani as they turn for home. Watch this. He nearly goes down at the top of the stretch right there, but he gets his legs back under him, gets back in gear under Jerry Bailey. Could he win the Turf Classic anyway?
Balto start trying to hang tough. Polish Summer, delightful Irving, but it's going to be Suleimani with a decisive victory in the Turf Classic.
Yes, he could. Shades of Ali Sheba in the 1987 Kentucky Derby. Suleimani gives Godolphin a top contender for the Breeders' Cup Turf. Godolphin won the Turf in '99 with Daylami, 2001 with Fantastic Light. And remember Suleimani, the horse who was placed first by disqualification in the Arlington Million when Storming Home went bonkers just before the wire and dumped Gary Stevens. Stevens blamed the lone photographer on the grassy knoll. Whatever happened to Storming Home? Well, he was back in action Sunday in the Clement Hirsch at Oak Tree at Santa Anita with Stevens back in the saddle. And what an effort to run down Johar.
On the outside, Irish Warrior closing late too, but at Johar and Storming Home. Storming Home going to outbob him near the wire. Here it is, and Storming Home wins it to Johar, Irish Warrior, and continuously finish 4th.
Johar set a slow pace with the last quarter in 22-3, yet Storming Home still ran him down in a professional performance. Stevens even took one hand off the reins to celebrate. What a Breeders' Cup Turf this could be. Suleimani, Storming Home from Europe, Falbrov possibly. Defending champ High Chaparral could be back, but the Breeders' Cup is at Santa Anita at Oak Tree, where Storming Home is at home. The horse that Storming Home defeated in the Whittingham earlier this year by 3/4 of a length, Mr. Acton, went wire to wire in Saturday's Bay Meadows Breeders' Cup under Bobby Gonzalez. That was, of course, at Bay Meadows, trained by Kristen Mulhall. This was Mr. Acton's first U.S. Stakes win. He is not headed to the Breeders' Cup. Now to the Sprint Division. The 6.5 furlong Bossburg at Belmont also Saturday. Some good horses made to look ordinary in the wake of a sensational performance by the Bobby Frankel-trained
Comes Ghost Zapper from out of the pack, and he runs by them all. Ghost Zapper blows them away with an eye-opening performance.
By 6.5 under Javier Castellano. Bayer Fig 117. Third place Posse might run in the Breeders' Cup Sprint. Maybe fourth place Gaia Star. But Frankel said Ghost Zapper won't run. He already has Aldebaran pointing for the Sprint for his primary owner, Juddmonte Farm. Ghost Zapper owned by Frank Stronach. Frankel said Ghost Zapper's come from behind style better at Belmont. Well, the same could be said for Aldebaran. This one not quite a Breeders' Cup prep. It's the Turfway Park Fall Championship that went to Crafty Shaw, who won convincingly under Craig Perrette. He's just a cut below the best. He's been knocking heads with some tough horses, but now he's back in the winner's circle for his 7th stakes victory. This is a Breeders' Cup horse. Watch number 3, Cactus Ridge, at the start of Saturday's Arlington, Washington Futurity. You'll see him stumble just a little bit, not as badly as the horse inside of him. Didn't have too much to do with the outcome. You can see Cactus Ridge is running away at the finish. He's not changing his lead leg, but he's moving him pretty fast. He remains undefeated in 4 starts. Stakes record time. If he could talk, he'd say, "How do you like me now?" Because among his co-owners is country music superstar Toby Keith, written by Eddie Martin Jr. That was my biggest line of the whole show, and I didn't get a smile from Jeff.
He's not that big of a country music fan. If you're online, go to ESPN.com, click on horse racing, and you can sign up for the Pick 6 Challenge presented by Digiturf Virtual Horse Racing. 2 winners this week, so in week number 7, we'll only play for $600. ESPN.com, click on horse racing. And, of course, on October 18th, Far Hills, New Jersey, it is the Breeders' Cup Steeplechase, and kind of the last chance to get in a tune-up for that big race.
I got no more lines. I'm out.
You're done.
The last big steeplechase race before the October 18th Breeders' Cup was run Saturday at Shawan Downs in Hunt Valley, Maryland. It's called the T. Rowe Price Legacy Chase. When we cover the Preakness, we stay in Hunt Valley. It's a very beautiful place. And here in the T. Rowe Price Legacy, 16 fences. That should be 2.5 miles. And you will see some pretty good horses in there. Pelagos, a horse who's a Grade 1 winner. Dynability, a 2003 stakes winner. and also multiple stakes winner. Well, there's Trebizond. He's another Grade 1 winner. Indispensable also in the field, a multiple stakes winner at age 9. There is the break of the September 27th T. Rowe Price Legacy Chase, and we will pick up the call as they go over the jumps.
As they turn for home, they've only got 2 more fences to clear. With the lead is Indispensable under Patty Young. Over the second last with the lead. Najum races in second place as they race towards the final fence. Indispensable under pressure to hold off Najum. Pelagos is rallying from the inside in about 6th place and making up ground on the leaders. But Indispensable has the lead as they head towards the wire. Indispensable, Najum, and Moulahan.
Indispensable by 3.5, ridden by visiting Irish amateur jockey Patty Young, trained by Jack Fisher. It's no coincidence. We will now hear from both of them.
I think off this race he has to go to the Breeders' Cup because it's just 2.5 here, and he beats these horses. You know, the only horse at the Breeders' Cup that's very good is McDynamo. So, and he's not here, but we're going to give it a shot.
And he was really tough today, really tough. And as I said, I never rode him before until the race today, so it was brilliant.
Jockey Young has been in the U.S. only 3 weeks as Indispensable comes off an 11-race losing streak to win the T. Rowe Price Legacy and earn a spot in the Steeple Chase.
Coming up, we'll look ahead to another big weekend of Breeders' Cup prep races from the Oak Tree meeting and more. And later in speed, co-world champion Who's Leading Who, his up and down season continues. On our Sicko leaderboard, we pause to enjoy the accomplishments from Bobby Frankel and Jerry Bailey. 22 Grade 1 wins. 22 came for Jerry Bailey with Suleimani in the Turf Classic. For Bobby Frankel, it was Tate's Creek in the Yellow Ribbon.
The vast majority of Bailey's wins have come for Frankel, but what's really interesting here, Bailey can ride for anybody out there. Frankel is pretty much limited to the horses in Frankel's barn, and yet they both have 22 Grade 1 wins.
Those horses are so good, though. NTRA Great Stakes segment, we talked about the huge weekend of Breeders' Cup prep races. We start at the Oak Tree meeting out at Santa Anita. Special ring gearing up for the Oak Tree Mile.
This is only a half-hour show. We could go another half hour doing nothing but previewing the upcoming races this weekend. For example, Special Ring is the top American hopeful for the Breeders' Cup Mile. What kind of speed does he have? Bobby Frankel may or may not supplement Wild Spirit. He's not the owner, he's the trainer. But it would take a $400,000 supplement to get her in the Breeders' Cup Distaff. Sunday, she goes into Spinster at Keeneland against Take Charge Lady.
Also at Keeneland on Sunday, Voodoo Dancer in the Windstar Galaxy.
And there is Voodoo Dancer defeating Tate's Creek in a very spirited stretch run in the Diana Handicap at Saratoga earlier this summer.
Next up on the road to the World Thoroughbred Championships powered by Dodge, the Oak Tree meeting. It's the ancient title. We'll also have the Oak Tree Mile live, the Spinster, the Windstar Galaxy. It is a huge show. Join us on ESPN2 Sunday at 6 Eastern for more. Go to ESPN.com. And that's just the tip of the iceberg when you look at this weekend as a whole, racing at Keeneland and Belmont. It's a huge weekend.
Some huge races in the Phoenix, Bowstown, Bergtown, goes in the Champagne Stakes, and the list just goes on and on. The Oak Tree and Belmont specifically, with Keeneland, all 3 of them, huge races.
Oak Tree Derby there you see, and on Sunday at Belmont Park you have the Gallant Bloom Handicap, and it just continues to go on. And also sponsored by Hoosier Parks and big races there as well.
The Indiana Derby has a couple of Breeders' Cup Classic hopefuls in Wando and Grand Ombre.
Well, reigning co-world champion Who's Leaving Who has already secured a spot in the $500,000 Champion of Champions, but he was in action this past weekend in the Los Al Invitational. The Invitational worth $200,000, but maybe more important is an automatic invite to the December 13th Champion of Champions. Who's Leaving Who? We said he's in, but he's having an erratic year.
Invitational Championship, and Who's Leaving Who bumped away from the gate, taking on Spoonman. Got off to a beautiful start. Zookie Street, Chick's First Policy is running a strong race in the far outside. Who's Leaving Who? He's back at the end. He's not going to run tonight. And Catch Me in Your Dreams is now loaded with run. Here comes Cody Jensen, and he has Catch Me in Your Dreams in a one-horse race and crushes the field in the Los Alamitos Championship.
Catch Me in Your Dreams was the third choice, but comes through by nearly a length to win the Los Al Invitational, $100,000, and that berth for the Champion of Champions. Chick's First Policy dueled strongly, only to finish second. Who's Leaving Who? Bumped early, struggled, and would go on to finish last. Here are the qualifiers so far for the Champion of Champions. Who's Leaving Who? Already in there, winning 2 races. It's no big deal by way of the All-American Derby, taking on Spoonman, the Go Man Go, Catch Me in Your Dreams. And you saw the other races that will fill up the field for the December 13th Champion of Champions. Also at Los Al, the Sgt. Pepper feature handicap, a battle between Magic and Rhythm and Moving Meter.
And away they go. And the one who came away the best was Moving Meter. Magic and Rhythm didn't get her a quick start tonight. Locked the Loads now striding on powerfully. And here comes the long striding Locked the Load after the quick Magic and Rhythm. Now Magic and Rhythm's in stride on the outside with Moving Meter and Locked the Load. And it's going to be Moving Meter. A nose over Magic and Rhythm. Finishing third, Locked the Load.
Trainer Paul Jones had 4 head in the race. His best finish was third. Bill Hoberg conditions Moving Meter. The filly by Meter Me Gone now sets her sights on the Bayer Legends Challenge Championship right here at Los Alamitos as part of the MBNA Challenge Championships taking place on November 1st. Now, speaking of the MBNA Racing Series, how about the American Airlines West-Southwest Challenge Trials at Turf Paradise in Phoenix? This is the juvenile division. Here's the fastest qualifier. Classy, making money, covered the 350 yards in 17.70 seconds. He'll wheel back on October 12th for the final. The winner will only have a couple of weeks rest before heading on to the MBNA Challenge Championships a quick 20 days later. Now for the big boys, the MBNA West-Southwest Challenge Trials. The older horses going 440 yards. Radium Rays jumped out to the early lead, stretched it to a length, and kept it there, posting the fastest qualifying time, a 103 speed index. The final will also be on October 12th, not leaving much time to get ready for that big finale. And to learn how you can become a Racing American quarter horse owner, call 1-800-414-RIDE.
I guess McCartney didn't make it for the Sgt. Pepper.
I don't think he didn't make the presentation. I think Merv Johnson was there, Merv Griffin. Still to come, Missouri and the Ladies' Secret, and part 2 of our final furlongs.
ESPN2 presentation of Long John Silver's Wire to Wire is brought to you by Long John Silver's. Boatloads of seafood are back. Citgo, we know you. NTRA.com. Log on and play the Breeders' Cup Challenge. Equibase.com, your official online source for racing information, from entries to results and everything in between. Equibase.com is a service of Equibase Company, the thoroughbred industry's official database.
Judging by our great stakes races to come board, it's going to be a very busy week next week on Long John Silver's Wire to Wire. I'm not sure 30 minutes will be enough. Head to ESPN.com for more information. Great streaks are just meant to come to an end. Cigar, Cal Ripken, and I guess it eventually caught up with Azeri.
Azeri was going for 12 in a row on Sunday in the Ladies' Secret. She had some pretty tough competition, even though she was a 1-5 favorite. She had Got Coco, who swept the La Cañada series at Santa Anita. Elo Love, the good 3-year-old filly. And here was Trevor Denman's call at the Ladies'
As they go
Secret.
past the half mile, Azeri's now 5 lengths off the leader, and another 3.5 to Got Coco. Into the turn they go. Royally Chosen and Adoration take them into the turn. 2.5 clear of Alo Love, Tropical Blossom. Azeri on the outside is now moving up 4th, but has still got 4 lengths to make up, and Got Coco's running on from behind. A 1/4 mile to go. Adoration, Alo Love, Royally Chosen. Azeri has got a race on her hands this afternoon. She's going to come on the grandstand side, then Got Coco. Homeward bound now. Azeri's under the ride. Azeri comes under the whip today. She's struggling in 3rd. Alo Love's taken the lead. Got Coco flying down the center of the track. Adoration at the rail. Alo Love, Got Coco. Got Coco flying down the outside. Alo Love trying to hold her off. Got Coco. Alo Love going to hit them together. Got Coco won it.
Azeri carried the high weight of 128 pounds, 10 more pounds than Got Coco. Just the second loss for Azeri in 16 tries. As Randy mentioned, shooting for a 12th in a row, the winning streak comes to an end at 11 for the reigning horse of the year. And afterwards, there seemed to be a little bit of finger pointing going on in there.
Michael Paulson was firing at everybody in sight. He blamed Mike Smith. He sort of indirectly blamed Laura Desiree for talking him out of going to the Whitney at Saratoga earlier in the year. It wasn't the weight that got Azeri beat, and it wasn't Mike Smith. It was Got Coco, actually, is what it was, among other things. But Azeri, normally she leaves the starting gate in a very aggressive fashion. And Smith, who's ridden her in all of her starts, lets her do pretty much what she wants to do, and she's only been beaten once before in her career. He let her do what she wanted to do in the Ladies' Secret as well, which was apparently to sit back in the pack, except she didn't have any spark. She wasn't as effective off the pace. She didn't get into the race. She actually crossed the wire 3rd, was moved up to 2nd because Elo Love came over on Adoration and was disqualified from 2nd to 4th. But Azeri's defeat was definitely, obviously, a surprise. She was a 1-5 favorite. Now the question is whether she will go to the Breeders' Cup Distaff or the Classic. She bled a little bit, and also they're checking her out for any other possible physical problems as we speak.
And from our part 2 of our race of the week. We go right into final furlongs, part 2.
And the other grade 1 at Belmont Park over the weekend, Saturday's Flower Bowl, 1.25 miles for fillies and mares. Heat Hayes, the odds-on favorite, but the horse we spotlighted, 3-year-old Irish filly, Dimitrova, ridden by Jerry Bailey. And watch her outrun Heat Hayes through the lane. It's Heat Hayes on the outside.
Dimitrova takes the lead at the 16th hole. It's Dimitrova. Jerry Bailey all over her as they come down to the line, and she's going to do it. Dimitrova wins.
Dimitrova earns a trip to the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf, one of those rare occasions where Jerry Bailey outruns a Judd Mott Bobby Frankel horse. Heat Hayes second, no excuses, also Breeders' Cup bound. Dimitrova won the American Oaks at Hollywood earlier this summer in her first U.S. start, and she was beaten in the Garden City. Trainer Dermot Weld said she'd be better on Saturday, and she was. The other big filly and mare turf prep Sunday at Santa Anita. This is the one that Tate's Creek won to give Bobby Frankel his 22nd grade 1. You can see she's down along the inside. This was also 1.25 miles, the yellow ribbon. And she burst through along the rail when she found a hole, ridden by Pat Valenzuela.
Loading, Crazy Ensign tries to keep her at bay. Running on late as musical chimes. Coming for home, and it's Tate's Creek in full flight for the wire. And Tate's Creek has won the yellow ribbon.
Tate's Creek certainly dispelled some of the concerns that maybe she wasn't 1.25 miles type. She ran her last quarter in less than 23 seconds. She's a leading contender for the filly and mare turf. She's won 5 of her last 6. Beaten only this year by stablemate Megahertz in the John Mabie at Del Mar. She had to survive a steward's inquiry, but it didn't warrant a disqualification. That was when Valenzuela made some room there in the stretch, Fire 107. Also Sunday at Oak Tree at Santa Anita, the Oak Leaf for 2... Whoops, wrong. Saturday's Martha Washington Breeders' Cup Stakes. Oak Leaf coming later. 3-year-old fillies at Pimlico on good turf. That was Darien, the gray filly, winning it. Her first start in the U.S., she was trained in France by Nicolas Clement. She's trained in the U.S. by his brother Christophe Clement. Not a Breeders' Cup possibility there, Buyer, only at 92. Now, the Oak Leaf. Sunday, Santa Anita, 2-year-old fillies, another wow performance, Half Bridle.
It's Half Bridle striding home 4-5 by the time they hit the wire.
Got so excited I wanted to see her twice. Half Bridle is really something special. She will be the shortest prize favorite on the Breeders' Cup card as she heads into the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. Undefeated in 3 starts. Julie Crone is her rider. Owned by the Wertheimer family from France, trained by Richard Mandela. Another good buyer you can see there, a 98 to go with the 99 she earned in the Del Mar debutante. Also for 2-year-old fillies, the Arlington, Washington Lassie Saturday. Everyday Angel, trained by Pat Byrne, in front, ridden by Shane Sellers. For running her down, Zosima and Pat Day, owned and bred by the Darley stable of Sheikh Mohammed, trained by Owen Hardy. Like Cactus Ridge, she set a stakes record at Arlington on that day. Obviously, the track was pretty fast. And Zosima headed to the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. Maybe Everyday Angel ought to go as well.
Well, last weekend was a lot of fun, and you can expect more of the same, I think, this weekend.
Oh, yeah, we've got all, as we've said, all kinds of races coming up, and races that will be very important to the Breeders' Cup. So keep your eye on the races at Oak Tree, at Santa Anita, at Keeneland, at Belmont over this weekend. And of course, we'll be back next week to talk about them some more.
The countdown is on to the World Thoroughbred Championships, and the action heats up kind of under the gun to get those final prep races in there. Hey, thanks for joining us. We'll see you again next week.
This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com.